Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. So, episode 74 of the Mystery Reviews. God, we're getting up there. We're going to hit 75 before the year is out. And before I get started, make sure that you smash the like button, share the stream out, leave a like. I already said that. And yeah, make sure that you are paying attention because this one's a good one. Over the course of the week between mystery reviews, I've been leaving subtle hints, bad behavior. I actually did a poll for this one on Twitter, which was G or K, and had people participate. Had 44 or 46 votes or something like that. And the G was the one that came out as a winner. So everybody's probably thinking the Grinch. No. Hints are Christmas of bad behavior. Then the final hint was you are not ready. As well as a lot of other deviousness. And then if you look on Twitter at my live notification, you see the clip that I have of Mrs. Deagle in this movie. So you'll probably get a kick out of that. Now, this movie is indeed Gremlins, another Christmas movie. Now, people are calling these movies non-traditional Christmas movies. Well, I disagree with that assessment because these are the best Christmas movies, in my opinion. Now, Prometheus is not one of my favorite Christmas movies, not by any stretch, but it fell in during Christmas. And then I did last week's Lethal Weapon. I love that movie. It is a Christmas movie. Got a lot of Christmas allegory and all that stuff. And this week, I am doing Gremlins. So yeah, 1984. But before I do get going, I want to say hello to the chat. Vanja, good to see you. Good morning and Merry Early Christmas. Thank you, right, Kitty. Merry Early Christmas to you too. Vanja is whooping because I believe he may have got it right. Grandma got run over by a reindeer. Great song. I really do love it. Oh, Merry Christmas. Oh, Merry Christmas to you too, Kamen Rider. Or Orange Hatmas. Walking home from our house Christmas Eve. Yeah. So, 1984, a movie was made. And this movie had some of the best puppetry work. Had so much going into it that is really great. And it made people scream as well as laugh, as well as go, holy fuck, they actually went there. I mean, this movie has it all. And it stars Zach Galligan, Phoebe Cates, Hoyt Axton, Dick Miller, the late, great Dick Miller, Judge Reinhold, Corey Feldman, and Howie Mandel as the voice of Gizmo. Howie Mandel, I haven't heard much about him recently, but still doing the voice of Gizmo, I never would have guessed. Now, this movie was directed by Joe Dante, written by Chris Columbus, not Christopher Columbus, but the score was by Jerry Goldsmith, so it's a legendary score, even though a lot of people are like, you got to be out of your mind with the score. No. Jerry Goldsmith did some top-tier shit back in the 80s and 70s. And Steven Spielberg presents. Now, this film, like I said, oh, Riot Kitty, how dare you? How dare you? You never watched Gremlins. Oh, so sad. You need to watch Gremlins, girl. And you need to watch Gremlins, too. I mean, honestly, if I have to, I will, let me see right now. Let me see right now. I'm going to Movies Anywhere, and I'm going to see if I can send you a movie pass for this movie. Christopher Columbus awoke from the dead for Gremlins. So yes, I'm gonna send or see if I could send you a screen pass because I know you got Movies Anywhere and whatnot. So let's see here. Oops. Rolling. Yep, there's a screen pass. I'm gonna send you a screen pass. Oh yes, I do. Consider it a Christmas present for you to watch. You got 7 days, so send a screen pass. Copied. Because you need to see this movie, Riot. You really do. And I'll send it to your Twitter DMs as I continue to go over this. So the movie starts with Randall Peltzer. He's a famous inventor and whatnot. And he's peddling his wares in Chinatown. And he comes, or in this little kid, or this kid brings him to his grandfather's shop. And he's like, anything or everything's for sale in here. And he starts trying to peddle his wares to this old man. Now, that alone is funny as hell because the old man's looking at him like, this dude is, or this man is out of his mind. But one of the things I like about this is that there are certain things that might upset people nowadays because it's not politically correct. Shame, you know? Now, where is Riot? Where is Riot? Jeez. I haven't talked to Riot in a while on DMs. Okay, I'm going to have to search for you because apparently Riot. There we go. And Riot Kitty, Merry Christmas. Apparently, I haven't sent you a movie pass on this or any DMs on this one. That was weird. But yes, you gotta watch Gremlins. You can't go through Christmas without watching Gremlins. Let's just say that. So, alrighty. One moment, folks. I gotta make sure everything is copacetic over here. Looks like I got something trying to push my feed away. There we go. Okie doke. And that is done. So now he's trying to peddle his wares in Chinatown, and you get the narration from him. He was this Christmas is unlike a story you've ever heard before. And he's in the old man's store, Mr. Wing. And I like how the Mogwai sings, and he finds the Mogwai and he wants to buy it. He offers $200, but the old man's like, there's a lot of responsibility with this thing. I can't let it go for any price. Now, the kid, his grandson, he is totally he knows that they need the money. And he's like, the old man's crazy. We need the money. So go out back. I'll be out in a few minutes. Just wait out back there. And so he gives the kid the Mogwai, or he gives the old man or Randall the Mogwai, and he tells him the 3 rules. And I like how they do this scene because they show the scene where the dialogue is placed over the scene, and it shows Randall walking away with the case with the Mogwai, and it's kind of a very foreboding sense that you get from this scene where the kid tells him, no matter, or one thing, don't ever get him wet. Don't give him anything to drink. It's very dangerous if you do. And no bright lights, especially sunlight. It will kill him. And no matter how much he begs, no matter how much he cries, don't ever feed him after midnight. Now, the slow motion and the dialogue is perfectly done. He's like, I got it, kid. Thank you very much, and Merry Christmas. So then it cuts to the radio sign for Rockin' Ricky Rialto, who has this Indiana Jones theme on the radio or the sign. Hence Steven Spielberg. You know, Steven Spielberg had a touch with this film because it was allowed. And so we're in Kingston Falls, Virginia. Nice shots of the kids snowballing before school. I mean, you don't see kids outside building forts and having snowball fights, you know? Richard Watterson, but isn't it always after midnight? Yes. There's flaws. Believe me, there's flaws with the movie. But this movie does have, and I will go over each flaw of these rules. Believe me, I will. So, yes, you don't see kids outside freaking having snowball fights, pelting each other in the face with snowballs and whatnot. It just doesn't happen anymore, unfortunately. And that adults should go outside and throw snowballs at each other. Just saying. I mean, hell, if I was to go to a winter meetup, with everybody or with other YouTubers, you bet your asses you're going to get freaking pelted with the snowball because we need to bring back the good old days. Now, I wouldn't pelt you in the face with it, but I would make sure you got smacked with the snowball. You know? So, we also see Billy, and a Burger King or the kids running to the bus so that they can get on the bus after having the snowball fight. I mean, this movie is completely dated for the 80s. The way that the town is shot, it just is done so well. Now, we're introduced to Zach Galligan's character, Billy, trying to get a VW bug working. This thing is frosted over. Literally frosted over. Frozen to a freaking pulp. And if you know anything about old VW bugs, the engine is not in the front of the vehicle. The engine is in the back of the vehicle, furthest away from the people driving. So yeah, the front of the vehicle is the trunk, which is pretty cool and also fitting because trunks on an elephant are in front of their face, and you know, but VW bugs. So yeah, he realized that he couldn't get it going, and we get introduced to Mr. Futterman, Dick Miller's character. Gotta love Dick Miller. And Mr. Futterman has a big ass tractor that he drives everywhere. He drives it everywhere because his tractor is part of his livelihood and whatnot. And he's like, you got to get American, goddamn foreign cars. He is basically what Clint Eastwood was in Gran Torino. He is not a full-blown racist like Clint Eastwood's character was, but he's like, would kill you, buy American. And Mr. Futterman, you get that kind of thing from him too. It's like, goddamn foreign cars, you buy American, man. See that tractor? All American parts. Now they're just freaking sending them in. And I have to tell you, man, The reason why they all go wrong is because gremlins are in the vehicle. And he knows about the actual origin of gremlins, which the whole legend goes in World War II. Foreign armies would sneak gremlins into the mechanics of their enemies' planes and weapons of war. So if they didn't work well, it was probably because there was a gremlin loose in your freaking machinery. Hold on one moment. Sorry about that. I had to alleviate something from my throat. And you all don't need to see that. So, yeah, Futterman, or Dick Miller played Futterman. He also was in the movie Terminator during the same year, where he played that small role as the arms salesman that ends up getting blasted by the Terminator. But yeah, folks, one of the things that Gremlins don't do is that they're not supposed to do any real permanent damage.
I'll show you permanent damage, you wee fuck. Kratos, throw me at him. Horns first. Yeah.
But yeah, I got a new clip about permanent damage. So, yes, Futterman's like goddamn foreign card, and he's always pretty sure that could have been a tribute line in The Crow to Gremlins. Goddamn foreign cars. That Skank frickin' says in The Crow. So we then Billy has to run to the bank. He can't drive to the bank because he has to run to the bank. The bank is like 3 blocks or 4 blocks away, so he gets there on time. He puts a clip-on tie on. So that really, really dates the movies. Clip-on ties, folks. Freaking clip-on ties. So yeah. And he has his dog, Barney, with him. And the dog is tied up under the counter because Mrs. Deagle is coming. Now, folks, Mrs. Deagle is one of the most... She makes Scrooge look like a charity case. If ever you have seen pure Christmas evil, it is in the form of Mrs. Deagle. Hey, that rhymes. But yeah, she's coming through. She's telling people, get the fuck out of the way. Not the F-bomb, but she's like, get out of the way, you cretins, and yada, yada, yada. And this woman and her kids, she's asking for a small delay because her kid or the girl or the woman can't pay for the bill for this month on time. She's just asking for a little bit of time, and it doesn't work, sadly. And she's like, but Mrs. Deagle, it's Christmas. Well, now you know what to ask Santa for Christmas. Yeah. And she's like, I'm here to make money and not be a charity case for deadbeats. And then she gets up and she cuts through the line and puts this big ass ceramic snowman head on the desk in front of Billy. And she's like, your dog smashed my highly expensive Bavarian snowman. What the hell are you getting a snowman from Bavaria for? Holy crap. But yeah, she's one of these rich, mean old ladies. Oh, believe me, Riot. She is very mean. He's like, just tell me how much it costs and I'll give you the money. And she's like, I don't want money. I want the dog. I'll take it to the kennel. and they could put it to sleep. She wants the dog put to sleep for breaking a fucking snowman. It's a lot quicker and easier than what I would do to him. And she goes into this descriptive tirade of what she's going to do to this dog, which is pretty freaking horrible. Going to put it in the dryer and crank it up and have it freaking die slow and stuff. This dog is hearing this, and it's untying the knot underneath Billy, and then it goes after her. Rightfully so, mind you. This dog leaps the freaking thing, starts barking and snarling at her, and so she jumps back, and the owner of the bank is like, or comforting her because, well, she's one of the biggest people, richest people in town, and she's like, I have a poor heart. I can't handle us or a fright like that. And then she's like, basically does the whole wicked witch thing. I'll get you and your little dog too, kind of thing. And then she's like, and she's snarling at the dog. And then she's like, oh, my heart, my heart. And they go carrying her off. And it's like, you know, she's faking that shit. You just know that she is faking it. And so you think that Billy might be fired because he brought his dog here and his dog attacked the richest freaking woman here, man. And so that's not the case. He wasn't fired. But Judge Reinhold, everybody knows Judge Reinhold from 80s and 90s fame. He was in that movie where he's jacking off in the bathroom and a woman comes in and catches him and quickly closes the door. It's like, does anybody fucking knock? He's that guy. He also played in the Beverly Hills Cop movies. But in this movie, he plays a complete douchebag. And so, so he's at the, or Phoebe Cates is also at the bank. She works at the bank. And then she also works at the pub where Billy goes to after work. And he starts talking with her, and he's basically thinking, oh, my God, I thought she was going to fire me. Well, and Judge Reinhold tells him, you're lucky that I'm not the assistant, or I'm the assistant manager. Once I become the manager, you're gone, buddy. I'm going to have you fired. You're going to be on welfare. You're going to have to make what, or you're going to have to support your family on your little comic strips that you draw and whatnot. And he then tries hitting on Phoebe Cates' character, and she's like, or he's like, I haven't shown you my new apartment. I haven't seen your old apartment. She just perfectly hits that key without missing a beat, and it's like, awesome, girl. This is how, because she's also taken with Billy. She cares about Billy. She knows Billy, and she likes Billy. And, well, Billy also likes her. And now they're not dating yet, but you know, there's the potential there. So we then get to the Peltzer house. And we see the inventions and the introduction to the Mogwai. I'm not going to go into all the details of the movie. So I am going to skip a little bit so people know or can see the movie, and I'm not giving them basically the whole fucking thing. But we get the introduction to the Mogwai, and it's a cute little thing. This little fucker is so cute. You got to look him up. I'm not going to show pictures because I don't want to get copyright struck. But the puppetry behind Gizmo and Howie Mandel's voice is so great. When they do close-ups of Gizmo's face and they show all different, this thing can emote. They must have had like hundreds of puppets for the different emotions that this little shit gives. He's a cute little fucker. I mean, he's doing like, he's seeing a race on the TV. He's like, yeah. He's got a little grin on his face. When he's frightened, he has the most terrified expression on his face. When he's angry, these different puppets for the different emotions and that. This dude, or this puppet, this little Gizmo, he's about this big. He's like about maybe a foot tall. Freaking Pokemon size, you know? But, oh my God, you wouldn't want this Pokemon to evolve. No fucking way. And he's cute. He really is cute. And so the mother wants to take a picture, and well, the Flash frightens Gizmo. And Gizmo runs to the father immediately because the father was the one who bought him and is helping him. So he trusts the father yet. He doesn't trust Billy. He's learning with Billy yet. He hasn't gotten to know Billy yet. And he's like, there's a couple of rules I should have mentioned first. One, no bright lights. We now know why. But especially do not expose him to sunlight. Sunlight will kill him. You don't want to give him a drink. You don't want to give him a bath. So don't get him wet. Now, the most important rule, it seems, is no matter how much he wants it, don't ever feed him after midnight. Now, the problem with sunlight, if he goes out, or even if this freaking thing goes out into the moonlight, that's filtered sunlight. That's reflected sunlight, rather, not filtered, but reflected off the moon. So, really, that thing can't go into any sort of real major light. Bright lights are bother him. Sunlight will kill him. Moonlight is basically reflected sunlight. So, yeah, there's a problem with that rule. Now, no feeding him after midnight, as Raya Kitty's pointed out. Well, midnight, or it's always after midnight. You could feed this fucker at 10 a.m. in the morning. That's after midnight. So I'm guessing that there is a grace period. 12 noon is when it's safe to feed him. I'm guessing that's the case. I'm not sure, but I'm guessing. Otherwise, it's a totally flawed system, you know? And then we, what the hell is this on my damn slipper? But, the wetness thing. If you give this thing anything to drink like that's not water, well, still technically it's wet. Any wet grease that gets on him gets him wet. And there's chicken and all sorts of other stuff that he gets and has and eats and whatnot. It would have to have a very specific diet. How does this thing stay hydrated? You know? It makes you wonder. And so, yeah, wet and not feeding after midnight and sunlight, all three of those rules are seriously flawed if you think about it. But, hold on. Cute. Hold on one second, folks. Hey, Gary, Banjo Sandwich Wellington. Good to see you. Wait 1 second, please. Sorry about that, folks. I had an important message that I had to respond to. Honest, probably the movie should have been like, don't give them straight up water. Everything else is fine. And that is basically kind of what they establish, I'm guessing. Because you see Gremlins drinking beer at the bar later on in this film. So, yeah. This movie has a good pace. It does a good lead up, and then as soon as the Gremlins hatch, because eventually he gets wet, and Corey Feldman is like Billy's friend in this, younger friend and whatnot, and he accidentally gets him wet. So Giz starts spouting different Gremlins, like or five new ones, and they all have different personalities. And Gizmo knows, he is aware of what this means because at one or Gizmo is completely good natured. He is completely good natured. I'm guessing it was because he was raised right. These are the other Mogwai when they spout. It's carry the way of water. Okay, yeah. Now these other Mogwai. So you also now have multiple freaking puppets for these guys, and they're different personalities and they're different things. Now these ones, the one that you got to pay attention to is Stripe. He has a freaking mohawk of or shock of white hair, which is like a mohawk, and it is just like, holy crap, man! These things are mean little fuckers. They're extremely um mischievous. They're gremlins before they're even gremlins, and and not take to Gizmo very well. Well, taking one of them to the science teacher at the school, Doc Hansen, and, and they or before that actually, Billy shows his father, and he's like, he wants to patent these fuckers. Yes, these are basically what Furbies were based on, were Mogwais. Okay, why isn't it? Hold on, folks. There we go. Wasn't highlighting. But yes, that it is what Furbies were based on. And am I coming through clearly, folks? Because it's showing that I have a weak signal and I can't. All right, there we go. Am I coming through clearly, folks? Just let me know. No. Barney. There we go. Let's see if that helps. Crusty. Yeah, that's what I thought too. Why is the internet bungling up so badly right now? Um, one moment, folks. Am I coming through clearly, folks? Did that work? Or am I still skipping and whatnot? Okay, it looks like that worked. Alrighty, good. Can everybody hear me clearly? Audio check. Testing, testing. Shows I got 2 people in the chat. Hmm. Okay, so the audio is good. All right. Yeah, it's just that I'm probably showing up all grainy as hell because the internet. I'm sorry about the picture quality. So I'll just do this. So I'll go it this way. That way I'm not giving you all a pixelated version of me. So where was I? All right. The new Mogwai, and I love what Randall says. He's like, it could replace the dog as the family pet. And the dog looks at him. It's like, what the fuck did you just say? So Gizmo knows that no good can come from this. As I was saying, Gizmo was raised good. He was raised to be a compassionate and good caring, good natured creature. All right. And so, yep, it is problem with the fucking. So you see the look on Gizmo's face, man. He knows that nothing good can come of this. And these Mogwai are just so freaking mischievous. One night before Barney is out strung up in the Christmas lights. Now the family thinks Mrs. Deagle had it done, but you see that Stripe and the other Gizmos are laying back and they're all like grinning to each other, and it's like, yeah, they did it. So Billy has Mr. Hanson, the science teacher in the high school, look at one of these things and uses another or drops a drop of water on one of the other Mogwai. Sorry, I'm kind of brain farting, folks. And it's like, are you out of your mind? You just continue fucking with this stuff. Weren't you warned about the rules? But it's a horror movie, so they don't care. Now, he does some tests, the teacher, and we also see Futterman at the bar that night with Phoebe Cates. She's taking him out because it's closing time, and Futterman is just like so freaking drunk. He gets into his he's talking about Gremlins during World War II and how he's like, they get in everything, man. A good old WWII. And he couldn't get the tractor started. So Kate, her character name is Kate. She's like, why don't you walk home? Yeah, you know what? I think I'll walk home tonight. This dude is so drunk that suggestion is perfect for him. And so he walks it home, and then Billy walks Kate home. And she doesn't really, you get the first hint that she's not really a Christmas spirit kind of girl. You don't understand why yet until later when she tells a very horrifying story. Her acting in this film is top notch. Phoebe Cates. I really do like the character of Kate in this film because she doesn't know what's going on, but she handles it like a freaking boss. She isn't going hysterical, you know. So, they walk home, and Kate is such a Debbie Downer. But then he asks her out and whatnot. There was good chemistry between Zach Galligan and Phoebe Cates. I honestly thought there was. Now, Mr. Hansen, it cuts back to him, and he takes a blood sample from the Mogwai. It's like this Mogwai really hates him. And we cut to the other ones who are jumping up and down in their box, and it's not yet after midnight, according to the clock. Well, he goes, heats up some chicken wings, and feeds them all chicken wings, and it shows the gluttony of these things, how they're just ripping into the chicken and whatnot. It's really disgusting looking, but it shows you just how gluttonous they really are. And, well, we realize that the clock hasn't moved since. And it turns out they were all fed after midnight, as well as the one at at the school. It takes a piece or the leftover sandwich from Mr. Hansen. It reaches out and grabs the sandwich and starts munching on the sandwich. Well, now there's cocoons in the attic, and cocoon in the cage that the Mogwai was kept in the school. Well, yikes. We now see that Deagle, or Mrs. Deagle, is back at the bank threatening Billy again. And she's like, but it doesn't really come up to much. The hatching starts. You don't see them, or I like how they don't show you the gremlins immediately when they hatch. It's a build-up to it. And that is the wonderful thing about this movie. It has a good build-up. They're reptilian in nature, or looking after they've fed after midnight. It's a complete opposite. They are absolutely evil, mischievous little fuckers. And they go from 1 foot tall to like 2 to 2.5, 3 feet tall. Honestly, I think more 2.5 feet are the size of the Gremlins compared to the Mogwai, which is 1 foot tall. So it's 1.5 feet taller than them. And these things can grab Gizmo, freaking put him up on a dartboard, start throwing darts around him, and then freaking throw him down a laundry chute. While Billy is at the bank, Hansen found that the thing hatched during a class. So when these things hatch, the way that they show these things hatching, no good can come of this. It is very visually well presented. Now, this is an 80s horror film, so it's not going to make sense as to why there's an eerie green glow inside of the cocoons, but it works to sell what's going on, to sell the mood of that nothing good is happening here. So Mr. Hansen kicks everybody out of the class to look for this thing because, well, he doesn't know what the heck it is now or what it looks like. And he gets a chocolate bar for this thing. And this thing's running around, and it's hiding under his desk. So he reaches out, and the thing's like, yum, yum, and then grabs him and kills him off screen. You see him struggling and with a terrified look on his face. This thing is probably biting into his hand. and whatnot. And then when Billy gets there, you see Hanson face down on the floor with a needle in his ass. So this thing probably gave him a massive embolism with the needle. So yeah, Hanson's dead. The science teacher is dead. And he's tracking Billy's then trying to go call the cops. Well, the gremlin won't let him. The gremlin cuts his hand and starts running through the school ducts or the air ducts, and gets into the nurse's station where he is wrapping his hand, and then it gets out of the school. Well, back at the Peltzer house, she hears the noises up in the attic. The mother hears the noises up in the attic, so she grabs one of the kitchen knives and goes up to see what's going on. Well, they're all hatched, and Billy calls his mother, and he tells her, "Get out of the house." Well, before he could say anything else, one of the gremlins yanks the power cord to the house, killing all communication. Now, this scene is well done with the fear factor. It shows how she is going downstairs. She jumps when the the record player starts blaring, "Do you see or do you hear what I hear?" And she finally clicks it off. She's looking around, and a glass goes flying at her face and hits the wall next to her, but you don't see what threw it. So she's going closer to the kitchen, and you see this little shadow pop up at floor level, looking up at her and then quickly turning and running away as she looks in the direction of the kitchen. Well, she gets to the kitchen and she sees the cookies that she's made are getting eaten by this ugly fucking elf. Now, they used stop motion for the gremlin here. You could definitely see it if it's done in high definition that this is a stop motion puppet. And so then, hold on. Miniatures. Let's see here. I'm going back to talking points for a moment, folks. So she manages to kill this one because it then starts licking or getting into the bowl. So she turns on the mixer, which slices up the first one. The second one starts throwing shit at her. So she has a knife. So she goes up and goes complete psycho, stabbing that one. And the third one starts whipping stuff at her. So she picks up one of the trays, uses it as a shield, picks the sucker up and shoves it into the microwave, and then turns on the microwave, blowing that one up. I mean, she's going complete freaking ape shit on these gremlins, which is awesome. I mean, a lot of people forget that Mrs. Peltzer is another strong female character from the 80s. She killed like 3 gremlins in like a minute or two. And then she pulls another knife or kitchen knife. Then she thinks about it and pulls another one. So she goes out into the living room looking for another one to kill. She sees a little bit of motion in one of the stockings. So she slashes the stocking, but it's a toy robot. And as she's backing up to the Christmas tree, if you're not paying attention, you'll miss the bright right eye or the bright red glowing eyes in the Christmas tree. So when it grabs her, the whole Christmas tree goes down and it's starting to choke her to death. And Billy gets home. There's swords on the wall that they have back when you can actually do that You can put swords on the wall and not expect kids to try to get their hands on it. Well, Billy grabs one of the swords and slices off the head to the gremlin, and the head just flies into the fireplace, which is awesome, dude. You don't see the body of the gremlin, but she's like, "What's going on, Billy?" And he's like, "They're little monsters and whatnot." And then you see Stripe as the or in his full gremlin glory, and he's basically the leader. He busts out of the house, and Billy goes after Gizmo, finds him in the laundry chute. So now it's a hunt for Stripe. Now, if Stripe goes into the snow, he would get wet because snow is basically frozen water. Another flaw with the film. But they capture him at they see him at the YMCA. Now, Randall is calling a dead phone, trying to find out why nobody's picking up at the phone or picking up the phone at the house. He's at a inventors convention. And while Billy's at the YMCA looking for Stripe trips him up, slashes him in the stomach or in the chest, and then goes straight for the pool and jumps in the pool. Now, the pool effect and sounds is really done well to sell that something extremely bad is happening. They use dry ice in the pool. You see the green lights underneath. You see the bubbling and the frothing of the water, the surging of it, and you hear the noises, these eerie freaking noises, man. It's Gremlins, CS. Good to see it, and thank you for stopping in. I mean, when Stripe jumps into the pool, it's, oh dear God, he's about to spawn because a bunch of them. One drop of water from onto a Mogwai spawned another Mogwai. 5 drops worth of water hit Gizmo before, so there were 5 of them. Imagine a whole pool worth hitting a gremlin. You're gonna get countless of these motherfuckers. So he gets out of there because he knows that the whole town's about to get real freaking hairy. So he goes to the cops. Sensible thing to do. The cops think he's crazy. And the motion capture of many of the gremlins, because now it shows Stripe and the gremlins coming into view, walking down the street. This is all motion capture. I'm guessing miniatures, because it looks like they are definitely miniatures of these things for this scene. And we see that the Futtermans are attacked. He's trying to fix his TV. These things are all over his antenna outside. And then they get into his tractor, and he's like, oh, there's gremlins in my tractor. There's gremlins. I told you there's gremlins. And you think that the Futtermans die in this film because of how the shot ends with their hands up, screaming and whatnot, because the tractor was heading right for them. So, yeah, you think the Futtermans are dead at the end of this or during this film. Well, in the second movie, the Futtermans are alive. So it's like, holy crap. You see the mischief that these things are causing all throughout the town. It is so freaking great. The music for the Gremlins is so fun. It is so freaking fun, man. Mailbox mayhem. I mean, this old man goes to mail a letter, and there's a gremlin in the box, spits it out. And so another old man goes to put a package in, and the gremlin grabs his hand and starts the guy starts screaming because, well, we get an idea of what the gremlin's doing to his hand, probably tearing it apart. Another gremlin is at a power box, which crossing wires to turn all the freaking traffic lights green, causing crashes. And we see Gizmo at the police station. He is beyond angry at this point. Gizmo is freaking trying to bite a cop who's looking at him to prove that that Billy's telling the truth. And Gizmo grabs a freaking little miniature American flag. He's ready to freaking go. He's basically saying, I want to track these things down and kill them because you idiots fucked up. Gizmo is just, at this point, had enough. He doesn't care about these idiots. He wants to stop the other gremlins. Or he wants to stop the gremlins. Well, then we see, or we get the call, the cops get the call that the Futtermans, something about a tractor went through their house. So they tell Billy, go home, open your presents tomorrow. We'll handle what's going on. The cops go out. They're driving around. They stop as they see a couple of weird things going on. And as they stop, a gremlin yanks or pulls the brake cable out from under their car. And also Stripe shows up at Deagle's place, or Mrs. Deagle's place. Well, Mrs. Deagle's coming down the stairs on her stair chair because she can't go down the stairs by herself. And she's yelling at her cats. She's a cat lady. One of the cats' names is Dollar Bill. You know, she loves money. She's basically the wife of a financial scammer, which is mentioned later in the news. Who died, but she still managed to keep some of the money and whatnot. And so she hears Christmas or weird singing outside of her door, and she's like, Christmas carolers. I hate Christmas carolers. So she grabs one of those old school pitchers that they have for water that they also had at like Pizza Hut back in the 80s. Well, she grabs one of these, fills it up with water, and is about to throw the water on the Christmas carolers until she sees that it's a bunch of freaking gremlins singing, it decked out in clothes, trying to sing. Can't sing worth a shit. She screams. She's locking the doors. She's like, oh my God, they've come for me. I'm not ready. And during this time, a gremlin is in her house screwing around with the wires to her chair that goes up the stairs. Well, she goes over to the chair, buckles herself in, hits the button, and this chair just goes whipping up the track and out the top window of her house as the police are arriving, and she's dead. She flew out the window and crashed into the snow. Her legs are up. She is dead. Pure karma in the best freaking way possible. They're like, oh my God, dude, that was Mrs. Deagle. And then they see Santa Claus, or a guy dressed up as Santa Claus. He's getting attacked by a bunch of gremlins. He's like, get these filthy fuckers off me and whatnot. And so the other cops like, we gotta go, man. Let's get the hell out of here. Well, their brakes are cut. So they end up crashing. So the cops are useless now. It is just so freaking great, man. The film is, or the way that they shoot some of these scenes is so freaking great. Rockin' Ricky Rialto is on the radio, and he's like, people need to stop calling. And you also see Billy's friend, Corey Feldman's character, Pete, fighting against these little green men and whatnot. And you hear Ricky's on the radio, and he's pissed off. He's like, y'all need to stop calling in with these prank calls. It sounded like War of the Worlds out there, man. And then he hears a crash. He's like, hey, what's going on? You guys aren't Rockin' Ricky fans. And then he starts screaming because the gremlins get him. And it's complete mayhem, dude. You see the gremlins are spread throughout the friggin' town. And so Randall's pulling in, or he's driving home, peddling his wares at a gas station where this guy is trying to quit smoking. So he gives him a smokeless ashtray. And then we see the gremlins at the bar where Kate is. Now, Billy has gotten his car working, the Volkswagen Beetle. So he's heading for Kate at the bar. Now, we see Kate is doing her best to try to keep these gremlins happy, getting them drinks and whatnot. You see some of them falling over. You see the loner. He's out there. You see another gremlin come up to this loner. and he's doing little sock puppet stuff. And so the loner just grabs a hammer and smashes him. I mean, you see Stripe is at a tail or is at a poker table with a freaking gun, playing poker, and a female gremlin or a female dressed up gremlin is telling him that another dude is cheat or one of the other gremlins is cheating. So he shoots the other gremlin. I mean, it's just so freaking fun. Or Phoebe sees one of the gremlins, Flasher, a mini trench coat, opens up the trench coat, and it's naked, but there's nothing to see there. There's just so much, man. The dancing flash dance gremlin, the mugger gremlin that has the ski mask on, trying to shoot her. She gets a camera because she realizes that a gremlin with a bunch of cigarettes in the mouth. She goes to light the cigarette, but it's getting away because of the light. Doesn't like the light, and so she realizes that these things don't like bright light. So she starts using the camera, flashing at all the gremlins, and so she's able to get close to the door, and she turns on the fan above her on max, where, well, this gremlin already kind of clipped a wire to stop the thing from going too fast. So it ends up speeding up, and launching the gremlin out while another gremlin's tracking it. I'll go on camera for a moment. It's going like this. It's like, and then looks off as the thing goes that way. It is just so freaking hilarious, you know? So then the mugger gremlin's trying to shoot her with a 38. It's like, how the hell are you even able to hold that damn thing, you know? And that's when the lights come on, or the bright lights flash through the thing, and all the other gremlins are freaking out because of the light, you know? So she gets out, she's running with Billy and whatnot. And the town they're running through a town that's completely overrun by the gremlins. Well, they get into a small store area, and Billy asks her, "Why do you hate Christmas so much?" And so she decides to confess what happened when she was 9 years old. Her father died in her chimney. And she's telling the story how Christmas Day came and went. He had been missing for 2 days, and we went to light a fire to keep warm, but we had to put it out because it was stopped up. The fireman came in, and he had been dead for a few days. He was dressed in a Christmas suit, and he slid in the or down the chimney and snapped his neck, killing him instantly. And a 9-year-old seeing this, "Yep, I am live, nerd with a cigar." And she's like, and that's when I figured out there was no such thing as Santa Claus. And it's like, there is a such thing as Santa Claus, folks. Just, there is, believe me. Santa Claus is real. For kids' sake. And so but her father was dressed up as Santa. So yes, this girl is traumatized. She's like, that's why I don't celebrate Christmas, you know? Oh gosh, that's the start of of the Santa Claus. Yeah, I know, right? But when she's going over this, Gizmo reacts, and when she's like, he died or he was dead in the chimney, you see Gizmo's freaking jaw basically hit the floor. It's like Gizmo's like, holy fuck. And I thought what's going on was bad. This girl has it worse. A 9-year-old finding out that her father's dead and rotting in a chimney when they notice the smell. It's like, holy crap, dude. Can you imagine that for a moment? Okay, it seems that the internet strength is back. So yeah, ruined. Yeah, hashtag ruined for life, indeed. So they find that dawn is coming, and the gremlins have gone inside. They don't know where they are. And So they're like, where are they? Well, they find that the Gremlins are at the theater. And what's playing in the theater? Snow White. They managed to get a working projector because they're wrecking the place, and they managed to get a projector working. And it starts off with "Hi Ho," singing "Hi Ho," off to work we go. And you see all the Gremlins are singing along with this "Hi Ho, Hi Ho," and they can't talk purely well, and it is just gotta put them out Demon Slayer style, yeah, right. And so it's just they're looking at it and it's like, what's happening? They're watching Snow White and they love it. Well, they go down, or Bill and Kate go down to the boiler room with Gizmo and they set up the boiler to blow. Now, the problem is the movie runs out of film while they're doing this because I'm guessing the film wasn't fully played through and whatnot. But they see that there's humans behind the screen. They're like, oh, we get to kill more humans. So they end up going up to the screen. And when you see all these gremlins jumping up and then start clawing the screen like that, it is pure terrifying, man. They're running. This building is it's like an alley or something that this thing was built around. So they managed to lock them in there. And they light a couple of pieces of paper or trail to lead up into the boiler. And Stripe had left the building to get more food because, well, the concession stand is empty. So he goes over to the candy store across the street. So the boiler blows up and all the gremlins are dead except for Stripe. Stripe looks out the window, is like, no! He's pissed off because of all of his spawner killed. And then he sees Billy and he's pissed off. And they all see that Stripe's still in there. And he's like, even if one of them gets wet, it's going to happen all over again. So we get the battle in the department store. Well, Randall is now arriving. And it's just starting to crack of dawn. And the fight in the store, man, is so freaking nuts. You got freaking Stripe shooting Billy with a crossbow. He gets a crossbow bolt right in the arm. And it's like, oh, damn, dude. And so then he gets a freaking chainsaw and tries to saw Billy with it. Billy has a bat to fight him off. I mean, he then sees the fountain as the power in the store comes on. He sees the fountain starts spouting out water. And so he starts touching the water. And you see some of the bubbles on his back starting to get ready to spout more gremlins. But you also see that Gizmo gets into a Barbie car, starts driving that sucker. And it's like, who's operating the remote for that Barbie car? But suspension of disbelief. Gizmo drives in, hops a thing, almost hitting Stripe. And also Stripe has a gun because he hits a gun, apparently loads it up. And he's about to shoot Billy, or then he goes to shoot Gizmo. Gizmo hits a sunlight thing, or I'm drawing a blank at what they're called right now. I'm sorry. Shade, light shade or window shade, and ends up going up, and the sun starts hitting Stripe and he starts dying. Well, he melts into the water and folks, this is the ugliest decay you've ever seen. It is complete horror movie kind of decay where he starts melting. And then his skeleton jumps out of the freaking water for one last scare. And then also melts into goo. Oh, if that's what I'm thinking of, the Barbie car is not remote controlled. I know because I used to drive one of those as a little bugger. This thing is small enough for a 1 foot tall little freaking gizmo to drive through. It's basically, yeah, it's meant for a Barbie doll. But Gizmo managed to drive the sucker. So yeah, they finally get home and whatnot. And so we see the news report. The mass hysteria is blamed, or that mass psychosis and hysteria is blamed for the Gremlins mayhem. And the mother goes, she's like, I think he needs some Christmas soup. And she turns around and the old man is right behind her. The old man that the Mogwai belonged to. And so he's there to take back Gizmo. And then he sees what's on the television. Look what happens if you don't listen. I warned you. What would happen? You do with the Mogwai what society does with all of nature's gifts. You do not understand. You are not ready. And then he goes to leave, but Gizmo wants to say goodbye to Billy. And it's a nice little touching goodbye. And he even says goodbye to the dog. Or Gizmo is like, ah, woof, woof. And he calls the dog woof woof. It is so cute. And it's like, bye, Billy. And it's just so cute. And then you see the overall narration of the old man walking with Giz out in the Christmas night. And you hear the overhaul or the over talk of Randall, the narration. And it's like, before you go to or if something stops working in your house, before you call the electrician or whatever, or before you do this, make sure you check all the lights under your bed, because you never know when a gremlin might be in your house. Now, before that happens, the final goodbye between Billy and Gizmo, the light above Gizmo is quite bright, so bright light isn't hurting him in this scene, which is weird. But yes, then we roll credits and you get the gremlin theme. Stupid Japanese stink bug. But yeah, I get Japanese stink bugs, which they look like ladybugs. They're all over. But yeah, that's the end of the movie. Now, again, folks, I highly recommend, if you haven't seen the movie, see it. I sent Riot Kitty a screen pass for seeing it. Objectively, this film holds up today. I would put it at an 8, solid 8. You could definitely see the stop motion, and there are flaws here and there. The blood factor could have gone a little bit higher than what it was, because there was no real blood factor in this film, and this was a horror film. Subjectively, it's a 10. I absolutely love Gremlins, and I think that anybody who watches Gremlins should watch it during Christmas, because this is the perfect kind of Christmas movie you need to see. It's a movie that will give you a solid reality check. It is a movie that is good for a laugh. It's good for a scream. It's good for all of that, you know? And honestly, it's a Christmas movie, you know? Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. Next week's review, I'm not going to be doing any more lives until next week. I might do some more videos before Christmas, but that's about it. But the hint for next week is Christmas and terrorists. And I will give you a couple more hints throughout on Twitter. But anyway, thank you to Nerd with a Cigar, Riot Kitty, Vanja, Gary Banjo Sandwich Worthington, Ryder C.S. Johnson, and who else? Anybody else who was in the chat? Cayman Rider, thank you for stopping in. Thank you all for stopping in. I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas. Have a very Merry Christmas if you celebrate it. If you don't, have a happy holiday. And yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, folks. If you want to leave a guess for next week. And I will see you all then. Thank you so much for stopping in. And always remember to stay humble.